Welcome to the Explainer. You know, humanity has entered this absolutely incredible age. Information is literally abundant. And technology? Well, it's accelerating faster than we can even wrap our heads around. But here's the crazy part. Despite having the sum of all human knowledge right in our pockets, professionals are burning out at record numbers. In fact, a recent Deloitte study found that 77% of professionals, that's more than 3/4 of the workforce, have experienced burnout at their current job. We're all dealing with massive distraction, inconsistency, emotional instability, and just utter exhaustion, right? But within our lives and our careers. So today, we're looking at a brand new leadership operating system, one that's designed specifically for this exact era to combat those exact challenges.
Okay, let's dive into this. The ultimate thesis here is honestly pretty simple, and it comes straight from our source material on Psychotech Leadership. It says, Psychotech leaders never give up. They either win or they learn to bounce back. It's such a powerful statement, isn't it? It really sets the tone for everything we're about to explore today. Because hey, it's not just about winning on a corporate spreadsheet. It is about ultimate self-mastery and profound real-world resilience.
So here is our visual roadmap for today. We're building a complete concept to application framework. We'll start by defining psychotech leadership, then we'll look at reprogramming the subconscious and emotional control over intellect. After that, we'll shift from the inner game of the mind straight to the outer game of execution, focusing on strategic prioritization and finally, taking massive action.
Let's kick things off with our first stop, defining psychotech leadership. We really need to establish this overarching foundation before we get into the complex mechanics.
So how do we define it? Psychotech leadership is the practice of reaching peak potential through self-mastery. Think about it. In the 21st century, the greatest competitive advantage you can possibly have in the marketplace, it's no longer just raw intelligence. Like we said, information is literally everywhere. What actually separates the good from the truly great now is mastery of oneself. It's all about how well you manage your own internal operating system to unlock that absolute peak potential.
Let's move to our next section, reprogramming the subconscious, and see how this builds straight into the internal mechanics of leadership.
Now, I want you to genuinely ask yourself this question. Take a second. What is your biggest growth speed breaker? What is physically or mentally slowing you down from reaching that peak potential we just talked about? Is it a lack of resources? Is it your team? The current market conditions? Just hold on to that thought for a moment and let's reveal the psychological answer.
See, the answer usually isn't external at all. It's an invisible prison. The invisible prison of our limiting beliefs. The source material points out something really profound here. The greatest limitation in life is rarely a lack of opportunity. I mean, opportunities are constantly swirling all around us in this digital age. The true growth speed breaker is this invisible prison built by our very own subconscious mind. It literally controls our human potential. Simply put, if you don't master your subconscious, it masters your life.
Now, what's really interesting about this is the solution. When we're caught up in limiting beliefs, we're almost always anchored to past failures or, incredibly anxious about the future. But our present moment, that is the most resourceful state of mind. Mastering the present state gives you the immediate, real-time competitive advantage you need to break right out of that invisible prison. It completely grounds you in what you can actually control right now.
Which brings us perfectly to our next pillar, emotional control over intellect. We're moving up from those deep subconscious beliefs into how we manage our intense feelings and thoughts in real time.
I want to slow down the pace for a moment here, because this is a heavy, philosophical concept drawn straight from the Bhagavad Gita. It presents this stark contrast between emotional anger and strategic intellect. This ancient wisdom tells us that when emotions lead and anger takes over, well, it causes delusion. That delusion destroys your memory, and when memory is destroyed, intelligence leaves entirely. Basically, unchecked emotional anger literally destroys your intellect. It completely wipes out your ability to think strategically.
And this brilliantly illustrates the flip side. Passion fuels the intellect, while anger destroys it. But notice, we aren't saying you should become some emotionless robot. Far from it. Success is the emotional bonding between you and your passionate efforts. It's about harnessing that emotion. We take the energy that could turn into destructive anger, and instead, we strategically bond our positive emotions to our passionate efforts. That's how we achieve success.
Okay, so we've successfully established the inner game. Now it's time to shift to the outer execution phase, strategic prioritization and purpose. Let's look at how we apply this newly mastered internal state to the absolute chaos of external corporate strategy.
If you spent any time at all in boardrooms or strategy offsites, you're going to instantly recognize this feeling of overwhelm. Leaders today are handed a literal corporate buffet of options. Should we expand into new markets, make massive product bets, do endless organizational restructures, invest heavily in new tech? It is deeply, deeply overwhelming. This literal buffet of distracting options requires absolute mastery of priority. Because without that internal psychotech clarity we just talked about, you're just going to gorge on everything at the buffet and end up completely paralyzed.
So, the crucial point is how you elegantly navigate that buffet. Our source material points to a powerful two-step formula. Step 1, disrupt the opponent's strategy. Step 2, lead your purpose. To do this effectively, leaders really need a diversity and perspective mix. Think about how a nimble startup views a legacy market totally differently. That diverse, outside-the-box perspective is exactly what cuts through the boardroom noise. By embracing different viewpoints, you create a strategy that focuses only on what disrupts the competition and drives your core purpose forward.
Which leads us directly to the ultimate catalyst for success, our final section, taking massive action. Everything we've discussed so far, the inner mastery, the emotional control, the precise corporate strategy, it all leads right here to this exact point.
Every idea without massive action is like a vehicle without fuel. I mean, think about it. You could have a luxury, top-of-the-line sports car sitting silently in your garage. The design could be flawless, the engine a total masterpiece of engineering. But without fuel, it's just a really expensive, beautiful paperweight. It goes nowhere. Your perfectly crafted psychotech strategy is exactly the same. Its design is totally useless without the combustible fuel of massive action to finally drive it out into the real world.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final provocative question. What will you do with the fuel you've just been given? You now possess the blueprint to break free from the invisible prison of limiting beliefs, to bond your emotions to passionate effort, and to cut right through the noise of that corporate buffet. The key is in the ignition. It's time to master your own life and take action. Thanks so much for learning with me today, and I'll see you on the next one.